Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, Monday night edition. Had another busy weekend where I didn't shoot a video. I actually prefer shooting at least one video on the weekend. It just seems to flow easier and you get more viewers, believe it or not. But hey, here we are, Monday night. I'm staring at a Holley double pumper carburetor. One other video exists in my playlists. I built a 750 double pumper Holley carburetor for my 71 Nova. That was a few years ago. I have some other carburetor work coming up, and I've never really broke it down into sections. I love Holley carburetors. From my first car on up, I had at least one. I soon graduated to a pair of them on most everything, and they're just simple, reliable, easy to fix, much easier nowadays because they invented the non-stick gasket, or at least less stick gasket. The original Holley gaskets, the tannish brown colored ones, they're just awful to get off after the carburetor's been through a few heat cycles, or even if you just take it out of the box, if you have an old one, or back in the day a new one, they didn't come apart well when they were new. Lots of hours of gently scraping gaskets in. We know how much I love that. It's actually no wonder I don't like it, because that's a big part of rebuilding anything. So let's say you're at a swap meet and you see this carburetor, you want to identify it. This is my cool little stand I picked up somewhere. It keeps the throttle linkage from just, making the thing sit crooked while you work on it. The base plate, butterfly diameter, will get you in the family anyway. This one has 1 3/4 butterflies. That means it's at least an 850, 900, 950, or 1000 CFM carburetor. So typically there would be a number on the choke horn or the air horn if it didn't have a choke. That's missing. I can see somebody's put a patch where the choke linkage would go through it, so it was probably originally equipped with a manual choke. So it's probably just a 850 carburetor. I believe that'd be a 4781. I'm just going by memory on that one. The double pumper series starts at 47 and starts at 600 CFM. So 6, 650, 7, 750, 8. So yeah, 4776 would be a 600, whatever. I believe it to be an 850. It has been rebuilt. So today we're going to go over the external adjustments. You're going to bolt this on your engine and attempt to start and adjust it, with the goal of it being dripless, leak-free, responsive, and powerful. And most of those are easily achieved. You need the adjustments, the adjustments right on this. Let me pause and take a drink. Sorry about that. A little bit better now. There's a lot of like mayflies or small flies outside, and every time I go outside to do something, it seems like I eat a half dozen of them. They make your throat feel funny. So you bolted it on. First thing you want to do is fill the float bowls with fuel. If you have a mechanical pump, you can speed up the process by taking a small funnel or have really good aim and fill the vents and get some fuel in the bowl. If you have an electric pump, just go ahead and turn it on and you can go right to setting the floats, adjusting the floats. There's two flat-headed caps over here, float bowl windows, if you will. Modern ones actually have a window, so you don't have to take a gasketed screw out of there and drop it when the engine's running or whatever. So if you have an electric pump, go ahead and take them out. Turn the pump on, and you want the liquid level to be just below the sight plug. If it's just barely trickling out, fine, but a lot of times I like to, if I have to shake the car, push on the fender and a little bit dribbles out. That's about right. It's not any performance advantage unless you have a fuel delivery problem to have them any higher, and you only want maximum 7.5 pounds, and that would be full race. If you're putting around on the street, 6.5 or 7 pounds is all you want. The engine's going to run cleaner. When you get any higher than 7.5 pounds of fuel pressure, anytime the car is shaking, like the end of a burnout or anything, the engine's going to want to stall, and it's going to get all blubbery for a minute till you clear it out. And if you've watched any of my videos, I think revving the engine for no reason is a colossal waste of time and parts. So much better if it just runs clean. So if you have a mechanical pump, you got to start the engine after you get enough fuel to make it run. Got to get the engine to idle, and then you can go ahead and take the screws out. Same deal, it's just you got a mechanical pump, so it's pulsating. It's not quite as smooth, but you can achieve the same results. It's actually much more accurate to check the float level with the engine running because there's actual liquid going through the carburetor, but you can achieve good results either way. In modern carburetors with the window, you're always looking at the float level. Much easier. So that's the float level. You could adjust it right here. There's a 5/8 hex nut under the flat-headed screw. You hold it with a wrench, you loosen the screw, you can turn the float. You're actually turning the needle and seat up and down, which pushes on the float. And that's how you adjust your float level. So you've got the engine to start, and now you probably want it to idle. It should be easy enough. However, there's a few tricks you need to know. Your idle screw, your main idle screw right here, which opens and closes your primary throttle blades. However, if your idle air requirements are high enough that you have to crank this open very far, a couple things are going to happen. Your idle mixture screws are going to cease to function. They're going to be non-responsive if you turn them in or out. We'll get back to those in a minute. So and what you're doing is a transfer slot. Yeah, you probably can't see it, but if you look at the throttle blades on the front, there's a slot that gets uncovered as they open up. You only want a little bit of it showing. And if you require more of an opening than that, you need to stop. And there's a screw under the secondary throttle blade. A lot of carburetors now just have another screw, looks like your main idle screw. They have it on the secondary butterflies as well. You need to open those up a little bit, get more air flowing on the back. In fact, also a lot of performance carburetors now have 4-corner idle screws instead of just the front. So the idle screws themselves, if you were going for economy, you could try to achieve the highest vacuum setting. Complete waste of time, in my opinion, on a Holley. When you build the carburetor, you're going to gently turn them all the way in. They're a thin needle. Looks like the nose of a Concorde jet. You want to put them all the way in and turn them out a turn and a half. If you ever have to move them after you start the engine more than a half a turn either way, that indicates to me something's wrong. Typically, I set them at a turn and a half and I never go back. It doesn't have a lot of input, if you will. If the engine will sit there and idle cleanly on a turn and a half out to 2 turns, you're good. If it's more than that, you have to do something to find out why it's out of normal spec. In my experience, again, 1.5 to 2 turns from all the way in is normal. Beyond that, I'm searching for a problem. I haven't gone over the different types of Holley carburetors, and I will and should in a different video. Tonight we're talking about a double pumper. It's got that nickname because there's an accelerator pump on both the primaries and the secondaries. So as you open the throttle, you squirt in the front, and then eventually you squirt the back squirter. That's what these are called right here. They aim toward the venturi, and they squirt fuel to help the transition from the blades, throttle blades being closed to open and allow the engine to rev up. And the other enrichment circuits on the inside, which will have to be in a different video, will take over. In your transition from idle to wide open, if you sit here and wing the throttle, should be instantaneous and crisp. If it's not, you got a problem. There's a lot of misinformation about the actual adjustment, because you see this big threaded bolt here with a nut. People want to adjust that to solve a problem. That's not what it's for. And you don't have to believe me. You can look it up in any Holley repair manual. Hey, look at that. Got one right here. This one by Haynes is an old one. I don't remember where I got it. It's never one that I referenced. I have an actual Holley performance carburetor book somewhere. This one covers like 2-barrel Holleys and Ford Pinto carburetor Holleys. I mean, but it also covers the 4150 series and the 4500 series Dominator. The information is here. There's a lot of other information. It's all by chapter. If this is all you have, that's a fine book, but I prefer the performance manual because they kind of get into the things that are important. However, back to the adjustment. All this is for is when you build a carburetor, you hold this wide open, and I take a screwdriver and actually push down on this arm for the accelerator pump and adjust that clearance to 15 thousandths. That's it. If everything, there has to be something else wrong if you have to adjust that, off idle. The way the arms and the cams are designed, when you set the bottom clearance, the top clearance should be fine. In fact, you'll find there is no clearance at the top. Some people want to have clearance at the top because they think it makes the squirters drip too much or they're too responsive. Well, that was never in the Holley manual. So that's somebody else's take on it. But these big adjusters that look so inviting and somehow you're going to magically cure your stumble, it's not what they're for. They're only for setting wide open throttle clearance. You push right down on the arm and measure it with a feeler gauge. And when that's set, you're done. If you have a stumble, that's not it. So believe it or not, that is all your external adjustments on a Holley. They're that easy. And with the tools they've given you, it's that easy to adjust them. Rebuild a carburetor and put it on, or take one out of the box and put it on. You just have to go over those basic steps, and it should perform excellent. If it doesn't, there's lots of areas inside we can move and adjust. And matter of fact, I just bought a new pair of Holley bowls for a 4500 Dominator that I bought that we're going to assemble in a video. And it has some ports on the front of the bowls and a special jet wrench that allegedly you can swap the jets without taking the bowls off, which is kind of neat. We'll get to that, but on your traditional, and this is very traditional, there's a few clues as to how old this is. It's not 70s old, probably late 80s, maybe into the 90s, because it has these serrations on the side of the carb body itself. It has this style secondary linkage. The old ones had a higher rod. I have a 750 around here we're going to rebuild as well, so it's an older one from the 70s, so it has a higher rod. So when I walk up at a swap meet, I can look at a carb and I get a pretty good idea how old it is. But this one is wearing most of its original zinc finish. It kind of turns green over time. I haven't researched enough. I know a lot of carburetor rebuilders, they have ways to color the carburetors, anodize them or whatever with a long-lasting finish. And I would love, I think, to get into that, because I'd like when I rebuild a carburetor for it to look new or better than new. But right now that remains a pipe dream. Oh, one more clue that it's a more modern carburetor. It has actual hex head bowl screws instead of flathead screwdriver headed bowl screws. So all clues that it's newer than old, but older than new. That's it for tonight. I love my Holley carburetors, and we'll talk about them more coming up soon. Have a nice evening.